Hi everyone, my name is Emily Teacher, and today we're reading The Spanish Conquest of Mexico. For over 200 years, until it was overthrown by Spanish invaders in 1519, the Aztec Empire in Mexico was a prosperous and highly cultivated society. Many arts and sciences flourished. The Aztecs developed astronomy, mathematics, engineering, agriculture, sculpture, and music to a far higher degree than did the Europeans of that era. At the same time, they were a warlike people, ruthless in battle, and their religious beliefs involved acts of extreme cruelty. Prisoners of war were offered as human sacrifices to their many gods. The Aztecs believed that the gods had already destroyed the world 4 times, and unless they were placated in this way, they would destroy it again. So, we're talking about the Aztec Empire. This is a very strong people and a strong empire a very, very long time ago. They were very far developed in math, engineering, music, and the arts, more than the Europeans were, but they were also a very cruel and warlike people. Because of their religious beliefs in these gods that were maybe going to destroy the world again, what they would do is make human sacrifices. So especially if they were prisoners of war. So if other people had tried to come and take over the Aztecs, they would take people as prisoners and they would sacrifice them to their gods. So I don't think many people wanted to fight with the Aztecs. The Aztecs were originally a nomadic people who lived mainly by hunting. Around the year 1300, they settled on an island in Lake Texcoco. The land there was wet and swampy, but the Aztecs drained the marshes and became farmers. Their principal crop was corn. They also grew green beans, squash, and chili peppers. Over a 200-year period, they created an empire extending across central Mexico from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific. Its capital was Tenochtitlan, which we know today as Mexico City. In 1500, Tenochtitlan was inundated by a terrible flood that drowned many of its people. After the floodwaters had receded, the Aztecs quickly rebuilt their city, but a far worse catastrophe was to follow. So when these people started, the Aztecs, they were nomads, right? So they would go around and mostly hunt, and then eventually they settled and became farmers. In 1519, a Spanish explorer named Hernando Cortes landed in Mexico with an army of 600 soldiers. He established a garrison in what is now the city of Veracruz on Mexico's east coast. His plan was to destroy the Aztec army and take over their country for Spain. Because horses were unknown to the Aztecs, they were dumbfounded by the sight of people on horseback. They believed the Spanish soldiers to be gods and therefore invincible. Fighting them, the Aztecs thought, would be pointless. So, Montezuma, the Aztec emperor, allowed the Spaniards to take over his city without any resistance. Cortes now gave the orders, and Montezuma became a prisoner in his own palace. The Spanish discovered a great hoard of gold and silver there. It was later loaded onto Spanish ships and sent to Spain. It is believed that much of the treasure was lost at sea. So finally, this Spanish explorer came with an army to take over the Aztec Empire for Spain. And when they came, they were on horses. But the Aztecs had never seen horses before, so they assumed these were powerful beings. They were invincible and could not die. So instead of fighting, they just gave up and let Hernando Cortes take control of the Aztec Empire. When word came that Spanish soldiers had been killed in an attack on Veracruz, the Aztecs realized they had made a grievous error in their previous thinking. These strange creatures were not gods after all. A battle ensued in Tenochtitlan, and although Montezuma was killed, the Aztecs drove the Spanish from their city. But their victory was only temporary. Cortes returned in 1521 with another army that laid siege to Tenochtitlan. After 80 days, the city was forced to surrender. The rule of the Aztecs in Mexico had ended. Spanish rule had begun. So, once they found out these people were just people after all, they had a battle and they won. The Spanish were gone from the city, but they did come back later and they did lose that battle. So the Aztec rule had ended. Thanks for reading with me today. We do have links related to each of these articles. If you want the link for this story, you can find it down in the description below.